Well, in my continuing attempt to try and figure out how the heck this thing works, I reinserted the mechanism into here without these two coin mechanism flappers, just to see for the heck of it. Now, what I noticed about this lever is this lever very easily goes down, okay, but nothing happens. It's not pushing that other lever that I found that when I push kind of cocks this timer mechanism. So my theory now is that before, where I thought you had to put a penny in to unlock this, my theory now is that this was jammed and that this now is working correctly, and the reason why nothing's happening is because you have to put a penny in so that this lever ends up engaging another lever to make it work. So what I really wanted to see when I put this in was, what is this lever really pushing on? And it's pushing on, there's a lever over here on the side. I could see a pin out here. There's a lever here. So now I should be able to take this back out. Which again, to take it out, I'm just going to lift up on this locking hook. And the whole thing comes right out. And this is what is being pushed. So now, and I can actually see right there, there's a pin that's got a mark on it where clearly that lever, the flat metal piece on the lever has been pushing on this. So that gets pushed like that. So that's making this whole outer mechanism do a whole bunch of stuff, but nothing's happening. So why is that? Could it be again because we've got to put a coin in here first? So if I were to put a coin in here, oh, I think I see it. I think I'm seeing a problem with this mechanism down here with these levers binding. And I think it's probably just years and years of no lubrication being in there. This lever right here definitely has a relationship, has bearing on whether or not when this is pushed. See, now it's back to that locked position. So maybe I was right. Maybe my initial assessment was correct, that it's locked until a coin is inserted. So right now, if I try and push this, if I had this in the unit and I was trying to pull that lever down, this would be locked. But if I push this lever slightly, almost as if like to cock it, which appears to be accomplished by, let's see, if the coin's in here pulling this lever down, that would allow this to come forward to this point here. And if it was in this position right here, then when you push this lever, there we go. This comes down and grabs where it's supposed to. And I can simulate, all right, it's almost like it cocks it. See, that's like ready to go right there. Then my theory is, so I pulled the lever all the way down and I've cocked this, and then when you lift up on the lever, it's got that other part that's hitting something up top, and I think what it's hitting is, I think it's pushing this maybe up to release that. In other words, maybe it's doing this. Alright, so that's what I think's going on. So I need to get a better look at this mechanism in here and find out why that's not consistently doing what it's supposed to do. So like right now, alright, it's back to locked again. So if I threw a coin in here, like that. Alright, so the weight of the coin is allowing this lever to move. Oh, I see. If you push it down far enough, it just automatically releases that, huh? And now it goes back to this deal here where it's no longer engaging. See, something's not kosher with these levers. These levers are the key. So I think I could take this token tower out without really messing anything else up. And that might give me a better view of this mechanism. So it looks like there's just this one screw in the top with a washer. And then the tower, there's little metal tabs right here on the base of the tower that engage this plate. So it almost seems as though with this unhooked, I should be able to rotate this enough to maybe get that to come out. No. All right, what's holding it on the back side? All right, well, that didn't want to come out easily, so I'm not going to pursue that. Well, I do know, or I'm almost positive, that this is supposed to freewheel like these other ones when this is released, and it's not. Okay. So when these hooks are not, see, these two hooks aren't engaging to stop these tumblers, but this one is, which is also something strange. But this is binding on the shaft, so I know that that's going to need attention. So now I'm wondering if I take out this screw, is there a way to take this whole tumbler mechanism out of here? So my first thought was that this was going to be the end of a long shaft that goes all the way through, and it's not. It's just a screw. Put this screw back in part way. Man, I am getting filthy here, and I really don't want to be touching these wheels. What if I took this whole side plate off? I get a screw in a nut here and here down in the corners, holding it to the bottom piece. Get this screw holding that there. This goes nowhere. This screw to this cross rod. These two screws actually hold this timer mechanism in, as does this screw. Alright, that's a smaller screw. The larger screw goes here where the spindle is for those things. So this really little screw here has a nut on the back side. Oddly enough, this one had a washer and this one did not. Okay, so something is not allowing this to come apart. This screw here is the only one that I'm not sure of. Well, actually this one right here too, I can't even see what that goes into. I think that's going into that mechanism though. That I would think I don't have to... My thinking was that this whole mechanism right here could come out with this plate. Well, no, the problem is that this linkage is attached to the rest of this. I'm just going to loosen these screws. There we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. Screws for this mechanism I think are going to have to come out so that the mechanism can stay behind as the plate comes off. Okay, there's a spring here. It's putting tension on this. So right now this spring, you can see it right there, is hooked on to that post right there, and that is what's appears to be keeping me from being able to take this out. That and the fact that it's attached to this linkage. All right, well, clearly this spring is going to be a problem, so I'm just going to take this spring off now. So this spring is on the front. It hooks onto the hook on the plate that I'm going to try and remove, and then it hooks on a post right there. Doesn't even come off that easily. Maybe I'll just leave it on there. Takes care of that one. Oh, look at that. That allows this whole thing to fall out. Now with this flop down, I can actually see where the other end of this spring is hooked onto on that plate. Actually, it's not the plate. It's on the back side of this arm right here. So, theoretically, I could leave this attached like so. All right. So the other problem I'm going to have is I've got another large spring right here. It goes over to a lever that sticks up that hooks onto the plate right here. I'm going to disengage that spring. And that also does not seem to want to just fall off of where it is, so I'm going to leave that alone. Alright, I'm getting to the point where this plate, I think, might lift right off. Alright, so I'm going to take the screw the rest of the way out. Put it with the other plate's screws on the side here. Voila. So this timer mechanism in my left hand, I can't take it out because this lever right here has a pin that goes through a hole in this lever that attaches to this lever. However, if I remove this spring, which, as I said, the other end of this spring is hooked onto a hook on the back side of this metal piece right here. Is that a bushing? Yeah, that's a bushing right there, all right. Is there one here? Yep, okay. Let's see if I can just unhook this spring. Why is that not? Okay. Look at this under magnification, see if I can figure out why that spring doesn't want to unhook. All right, because it keeps falling off, I'm going to take off this little tiny bushing. It's like a thick washer that goes on this post, and this sleeve that goes on this post, and then this little bushing or washer that goes on this post. All right, it wasn't easy, but I was able to pop this spring off. Okay, so now this lever should slide off of this. Yep, and this whole mechanism now can be removed. I don't have to hold on to that anymore, which is good. All right, so now this lever and this arm and this cross arm, if I lift this up, it's attached by a rivet right there to this mechanism. But this mechanism looks like there's nothing stopping it from just sliding up off of this post as an assembly. Like so. I'm going to keep that mess all together just like that. So I wonder what keeps this arm on here. Oh, I see it's attached to a lever that goes down inside to the mechanism to another point that I can't get to yet, so that's got to stay. Although I can take this assembly right here with the fingers that actually engage the little cogs there, that I could take out because there's a hairpin clip right here. If I pull this clip off, that will allow this pin to do nothing. All right, that's interesting. I just realized that pin, even if I can get it to move in that direction, it's going to only go out so far and then hit this. So thinking I should have taken, there's another one on this side, should have taken this one off. Okay, take that clip off that side. That pin does not want to really move. I don't know if it's seized in there or, oh yeah, that's really stiff in there. That shouldn't. I'm guessing that could be a problem. That does not. Well, actually, that still swivels freely, independent of this other piece. So the fact that that pin is a little difficult to remove doesn't really necessarily mean that anything's binding. It doesn't seem to be binding at all. There we go. Get the pin out. Now this should be able to be removed. Oh, sneaky. It's just a little bit captive of these wheels. Okay, so that's not... that didn't have the effect I was hoping it would. Yeah, alright, I'm not going to force that. Well, what do I do with this now? Just let it hang. So, how can I get this whole drum assembly to come out? Well, by sliding this bushing off the shaft a little bit, I was able to get these wheels to separate just a little bit so I could get this out of the way. The problem is I can't take the wheels and slide them off in this direction because they're being interfered with by these mechanisms right here. These large levers right here that actually have the hooked ends that go into these cogs right here. So I still think the only way to get this out is going to be to lift this all out on the shaft as an assembly. So I'm looking at what looks like it might be a head to a small, very tiny bolt. In other words, as opposed to being a screw like on this side, I think they may have put a head on this with the intention of being able to put a wrench in here and unscrew that. I'm going to just try and see if I have. I'm going to get my little distributor wrenches. They're really tiny. Well, all right. So my 1/4 inch open end wrench seems to fit this. That's the screw and the washer. That's what I wanted. All right. So see, that seems to spin okay, but that's because it's spinning with the shaft. Once that shaft is held captive by being screwed in place, then it's going to bind on there. So what I'm going to need to do is slide this shaft out, clean it all up, re-lube it, and put it all back together. But that's great that I got that out, because now with this out, I can be a little bit more aggressive about cleaning this. What I want to do is, I really don't want to go hog wild with this assembly on this, because of the way everything's interconnected. It's going to be a bear to put this back together correctly. And the more I take it apart, the more difficult that's going to be. But I would like to try and clean this as best as I can, and then lubricate all of the areas that appear clear to me to need lubrication. And I spotted something that concerns me. There is, right here, there is a lever. Okay, this lever right here has a hole in the end of it with nothing in it. And I have a sneaking suspicion that there was a pin located in there, and that pin's job is that this lever is allowed to snap back like this, and that pin hits this right here and gives these things their initial spin. Although that doesn't seem to make sense, because this would just freewheel. That would only spin this last one, so maybe not. So I still do not quite know exactly what kicks this to get it spinning.